My alcoholic wife wanted full custody of our daughter and began fabricating lies about me to achieve it, so I revealed her true nature. On my daughter's 5th birthday, I was awakened by her jumping on me and hugging me, repeatedly saying, "Daddy, Daddy, wake up." She had always wanted me to join her for a princess tea party, so as one of her presents, I bought an adult-sized princess outfit. "What is this, Daddy?" she asked. I replied, "Well, to go to a princess tea party, I need to be a princess." Right, her eyes lit up, and she practically squeezed me into that dress herself. She was so excited. We made iced tea, and she kept giggling, saying this was the best birthday ever. I had a wonderful time celebrating her birthday with her, but at the end of the day, as I tucked her into bed, she hugged me tightly and said, "Please don't leave, Daddy." I told her stories until she fell asleep. Later that night, I broke down crying. The truth was, my alcoholic wife and I were divorcing, and she wanted full custody of our daughter. I knew she would stop at nothing to get it. My wife Rachel's brother, Matt, was a lawyer who never lost a case. He represented her in the custody battle. Matt took on cases for women who were complete messes, and he had a track record of success. One case involved a woman with a history of alcohol abuse, no job, and living in a poor part of town. She had 3 kids, and their father was trying to get full custody. On paper, the father was perfect. He had a great 9-to-5 job, made good money, and lived in a nice apartment. However, he didn't have enough room in his apartment for all 3 kids. Everyone thought the father was a shoo-in for custody, but then Matt stepped in. He started tearing the father's case apart piece by piece, bringing in character witnesses to testify about how her mom was turning her life around and how much she loved her kids. He made her look like a hero battling her demons for the sake of her children. The craziest part was how Matt somehow turned her addiction into a positive. He argued that her previous struggles made her more empathetic and determined to protect her kids from going down the same path. He convinced the court that the mom's tough life made her a stronger and more loving parent. Despite all odds, Matt won the case, and the mom got custody of the kids. Knowing all this, I was terrified. If Matt could win a case like that, what chance did I have? But I knew I had to fight for my daughter, Lily, no matter how good Matt was. During the court proceedings, Rachel lied through her teeth. She claimed I was drunk all the time and couldn't take care of Lily, even though she was the one with the drinking problem. She spun this whole story about me being an irresponsible, stumbling drunk. She even accused me of mistreating her throughout our marriage, saying I was verbally abusive and made her life miserable. None of it was true, but she had this sob story all lined up, complete with fake tears and everything. She painted herself as the victim and even went so far as to say that I neglected Lily. She made it sound like I was a negligent, careless father who couldn't be bothered to take care of his own kid. The worst part was Matt backing her up. He twisted every piece of evidence and every bit of testimony to make me look bad. He brought in so-called witnesses who claimed they saw me drunk or heard me being abusive. Then the court called Lily to the stand. After the judge asked her a few questions, it was time for her to speak. Lily said, "I love my daddy so much. He's the best daddy in the whole world. He makes me good food every day and reads bedtime stories every night. I want to stay with Daddy." When the judge asked about her mother, she said, "Mommy loves me too, but she doesn't like to play dolls with me. She sleeps a lot, and I can't wake her up. Sometimes she gets mad and yells, but Daddy never yells." Lily's innocence and honesty were heartbreaking. She didn't understand all the legal stuff, but she knew what it felt like to be cared for and loved. Her testimony was simple but incredibly powerful. As Lily left the stand and came back to sit with me, I hugged her tightly and told her how proud I was of her. Her words had cut through all the lies, something that Matt couldn't fake. It was a turning point in the case, and it gave me hope. The judge took everything into consideration, including Rachel's behavior in court and Lily's testimony. Meanwhile, Rachel's desperation led her to more extreme measures. She faked injuries and claimed I was the one who injured her, but her lies started to unravel. Inconsistencies in her stories were exposed. My lawyer played the recordings I had made of my phone calls with Rachel. In these recordings, Rachel's true nature came out. You could hear her slurring her words, yelling irrationally, and making threats. The real kicker was when my lawyer showed photos and videos of Rachel showing up drunk to supervised visits. There she was in front of the whole court, stumbling and incoherent. We played the video in its entirety. I looked at Rachel while she watched herself cause a scene. She sank down and tried to make herself appear smaller. Rachel's face went pale as the evidence was laid out. She tried to interrupt and explain away the recordings and the photos, but it was clear to everyone in the courtroom that her facade was cracking. The final blow came when my lawyer called one of Rachel's own friends to the stand. This friend reluctantly admitted that Rachel had a serious drinking problem and had often confided in her about feeling guilty for manipulating the court case. She even mentioned how Rachel had laughed about turning my own parents against me. The courtroom was silent as the weight of this testimony sank in. Rachel's lawyer, her brother Matt, looked visibly flustered for the first time. He tried to regain control, but the damage was done. The judge looked at Rachel with disapproval. Rachel started to lash out, making desperate attempts to deny the evidence, but her stories were too inconsistent. She kept getting caught up in lies. She claimed the recordings were fake and that the photos were staged, but her points were weak and desperate. The judge took a moment and said that the evidence presented had shown a pattern of instability and dishonesty that could not be ignored. It was like music to my ears. Rachel's lies were unraveling right before her eyes, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. For the first time, I felt a bit of hope that Lily could stay with me. My lawyer also shared moments from my life with Lily, including photos of our camping trips, her school achievements, and our quiet evenings reading together. The judge began to see through Rachel's lies and manipulation. This final court session felt tense. Rachel's brother tried again to paint me as an unfit father, but the evidence against Rachel was too strong to ignore. The judge called for a recess and took time to review all the evidence and testimonies. As I sat in the hallway, the only thing that calmed my nerves was looking at a picture Lily had drawn of the two of us. I felt a small hand slip into mine. I looked down to see Lily. She told me that everything was going to be okay. I told her that all the time, and now she was trying to comfort me the same way. The judge returned, and everyone filed back into the courtroom. He acknowledged the difficulty of the situation and the emotional toll it had taken on everyone involved. Then he turned to Rachel and me and said that after careful consideration, it was clear that I had the best interests of Lily at heart and awarded custody to me. The courtroom erupted in chaos as Rachel began to scream and shout. The judge's gavel banged loudly. I felt an overwhelming sense of relief and joy. I knelt down and hugged Lily tightly, tears streaming down my face. Lily wiped my tears and looked up at me, asking if she would see Mommy again. I told her that she could see her whenever she wanted, as long as I was there. We drove home in silence. Once we arrived, I started making dinner while Lily played with her dolls. At dinner, she asked me with those big innocent eyes if we were going to be okay. I told her that we would be more than okay. I said we were going to be happy. She smiled, and we enjoyed the rest of our dinner. We had each other, and that was all we needed. The weeks that followed were quite the adjustment. I took a leave of absence from work to spend more time with Lily and help her settle into our new routine. We went on long walks, visited the park, and spent hours reading stories and playing games. One evening, as Lily and I were cuddled up on the couch watching a movie, she looked up at me with a serious expression. She asked me why her mommy didn't want to be with us, and I struggled to find the right words. I explained that her mother was going through tough times and that she loved Lily very much but couldn't take care of her the way she needed right now. Lily nodded and told me how glad she was to have me as her dad, then snuggled closer to me. I knew there would still be hard days ahead, but I also knew we would face them together. Every year on Lily's birthday, we kept up our special tradition of Princess Tea Party. It was our thing. Fast forward a few years after the custody battle, and one day Lily came home from school with the biggest smile on her face. She'd won an award for being the best reader in her class. I was so proud of her. She ran to her room and came back with a shiny certificate. She was so excited to put it up on the wall. I grabbed a frame, and we hung it together. Looking at that certificate, I couldn't help but think about our journey. Life had settled into this happy routine. I was back at work, juggling my job and being a full-time dad. It wasn't always easy, but every challenge was worth it just to see Lily happy. She was thriving in school, making friends, and growing more confident every day. It was all the proof I needed that we were doing all right. Life had settled into this happy routine. I was back at work, juggling my job and being a full-time dad. It wasn't always easy, but every challenge was worth it just to see Lily happy. She was thriving in school, making friends, and growing more confident every day. It was all the proof I needed that we were doing all right.